Hey everyone. So sorry, I was gathering some stuff together in my shop. But I'm glad that you guys are with me. Today, I just wanted to give like a mini workshop so that we can talk about if AI is really beneficial for you and your business. And this can be any business with any niche. So let me just introduce myself. My name is Tiffany Richardson. I am a business consultant, business advisor, business coach. I work with the Chamber of Commerce here in Hampton Roads, Virginia, and I work with the Black Chamber of Commerce. And I work with small business owners who either are in the ideation phase, they are trying to get their business idea off the ground and trying to figure out, does this business idea really make sense? I also work with entrepreneurs who are making tens of thousands of dollars a year, and they just need a little bit of help in brainstorming, and they need somebody to be a springboard so that they can figure out how to grow and scale their business. So, in addition to being a business person, I'm also a creative. I'm a mixed media artist, and I am currently in my art studio. So that's why the walls are colorful and all of that. I am also a United States Navy veteran, and I'm an avid gardener, an avid video gamer, and all of that jazz. So I'm glad that you guys could be here with me today. Feel free to ask any questions that you have at any time in the chat. And I'll try to stop periodically so that we can keep the discussion going. Kimberly, hey, I see you in the chat. And then also Eduarda, I see you in the chat also. So again, thank you guys for being here and let's get started. So this is my first YouTube live. So let me see if I can figure out how to share my screen. And if not, that's not a problem. We can just have a conversation, like I said. So, nope, not that button. And not that button. That's okay. All right, cool. So this is just going to be a conversation, which is okay. All right. So let's start by kind of figuring out what AI is. And I tell people all the time, don't ask me because I'm not a super tech person when it comes to that, even though a lot of people may disagree. But what is artificial intelligence? And so, of course, because I'm not a super techie person, I asked artificial intelligence what it was, and this is what it gave me. AI is the use of computer systems to simulate human mental processes, such as interpreting and generating language. In layman's terms, these are, I guess you can think of it as a robot who is accessing massive amounts of massive amounts of information in order to give you an answer to a question or help you solve a problem. And so I frequently kind of compare it to Google's big brother. So just in a nutshell, that is what artificial intelligence is in a very, very oversimplified way. So next thing, let's kind of touch on the quality of AI. So I remember when I first became an entrepreneur, right? I had absolutely no clue what I was doing. I always tell the little anecdote that when I first started in entrepreneurship, I was getting a bachelor's in entrepreneurship from Norfolk State University, and I really wanted to have something tangible to apply what I was learning to, and so I started a skincare company. Well, in the first year, I made $1,000, which I think a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, that's not a lot of money," but if you are an entrepreneur and you're just starting out, especially in the creative space, you know that is a okay start, right? It's something. Well, after the year was over and I started looking at my income and my expenses, I realized that I had not made $1,000. And in all actuality, I actually spent $14,000. I lost $14,000. And so that was a ridiculous like reality check and heartbreaker because I thought I was doing something right. And so what I've learned so far, even without AI, what I've learned so far in the realm of entrepreneurship all comes from personal experience, trial and error, okay, in addition to my degrees. And so there is a way that you can utilize AI to level the playing field. What I mean by that is, think about it. All of the large, big businesses or even medium-sized businesses have access to a lot of the tools and resources that either small businesses or entrepreneurs may not even know about. Let's not even get into, having access to the specific type of capital that it may take to access these resources, but we just may not know about these things. You don't know what you don't know. And so utilizing AI kind of levels that access playing field, right? And so we really want to make sure that we are utilizing the latest technology in order to really build up and arm ourselves as small business owners so that we can be successful however you determine success is for you. And so I will say there is an untapped bridge that AI can fill between technology and the regular everyday entrepreneur. So let's get into examples of entrepreneurs, really, examples of artificial intelligence. So I will say that most people have been using artificial intelligence without even knowing it. And so let's think of chatbots, right? So when I think of a chatbot, I think of when you go to a website and you look down at the bottom right corner, it's usually in the bottom right corner, and you see a little bubble that pops up, right? That is more than likely a chatbot, meaning if you type in, what are your store hours? It's going to come back with, these are our store hours. If you type in, do you have parking at your facility? Depending on how the chatbot was trained, it may say, I don't know, contact so-and-so, or yes, we have parking at our facility. And so those are chatbots, right? And so that is what, Bard and ChatGPT and Jasper to some effect is. Another thing would be a smart assistant, e-payments, search algorithms. If you drive a smart car, AI, artificial intelligence, navigation apps. So there's all of these different things that we've been using, but just did not think about it being AI. And so we're already in the process, and we're already warmed up to the idea of artificial intelligence. So real quick, how do you harness the power of AI copywriting? And that could be also uses for AI. You can, what a lot of people I think use AI for, at least right now, is creating captions for social media. And so if you've ever been the person that says, all right, I have to post something and I don't know what to say in the caption, AI is a really good tool to use to create captions for social media. But you can do so much more with AI than to just create captions. You can create marketing plans. You can create strategic plans. You can create a business plan. You can create business models, ebooks, do market research, craft simple emails. I mean, you can do tons of different things. If you sell products in your business, you can create features to benefits. So this shampoo is good because it benefits you in this way, right? That's a very oversimplified example, but you get my drift. So you can use artificial intelligence in many, many different ways. And you may say, all right, well, sure, I've heard of ChatGPT. I've heard of people using it to do emails, to write, workbooks or ebooks or whatever, but how could it benefit me? And I will say that's a loaded question because it really depends on your business industry and your niche. And that is actually what I do as a business advisor and a business consultant. We use AI tools, keyword tools, to our advantage to brainstorm and actually help you create different plans, models, and help you make decisions. And so some of the ways that AI can benefit you, again, producing content quickly, brainstorming. And brainstorming is especially helpful if you don't have access to a business advisor or a consultant. But since you met me here, you now have access to a business advisor and consultant. Other ways that AI can benefit you is it can actually save you money in your business. It is a cost-saving tool. How is that? Because let's just say you are really, really big into using social media for marketing, but you don't have someone that's going to be on your team, whether it's a freelancer, employee, intern, whatever, that's going to actually sit down and create these captions for you. And I'm sticking with social media because it's just in my head. So if you don't have someone, if you can't afford to have someone on your team or to hire someone, then you can utilize AI to fill that gap until you are at a financial point in your business where you can afford to find a human resource to fill that gap. And so we want to make sure that we are using these technologies to the best of our ability in order to ultimately make money and to cut costs and cut expenses. All right, so real quick, let me see. Does anybody have any questions at all? You can ask whatever you want. And I'll wait for a couple of seconds. All right, so I don't think we have any questions. All right, so I'm going to keep going. But remember, ask any questions that you need to in the chat, and especially if it's about your business. All right, thanks, Eduardo. All right, so we just touched on the benefits. And of course, that's not an exhaustive list of benefits. There's so many other ways that you can leverage AI, but let's keep moving forward or I'll be here all day. And so personalization and cultural relevance. So let's again stick with social media. When you're using artificial intelligence, I think a lot of people get so wrapped up in, I have to have X amount of followers. I have to have engagement. I need people to like my posts. I need people to share my posts. But here's the question, and this is going to get a little bit into identifying your target market or your ideal customer. And then I'll get off my soapbox, I promise. So before you even touch AI, right? Before you even think about what to write as a caption, you have to understand who you're targeting. Who are you speaking to? And this comes in the form of, you can figure that out by competitive analysis. You can figure that out by doing surveys. You can figure that out by just going and talking to the people that you think are a part of your audience. So now let's say we understand who we're talking to, and let's use myself as an example. With my artwork, my target audience is Caucasian women between the ages of, I would say, 45 and 65, who have disposable income, who have an interest in nature and natural organic things, and a special affinity for the ocean or some type of beach or sea themed thing, right? And so that's actually, I have many audience segments for my art, but that's just one segment for a certain section of my artwork. And so I have to understand who they are, how they think, how they spend their money, all of that in order to be able to connect my captions, my social media captions with them, right? I have to understand what platforms are they on. If we're talking about, and this is very, very general, but if we're talking about Caucasian women between the ages of 45 and 65, 9 times out of 10, most times, this is not an absolute, but most times they're not going to be on Snapchat. They may not be on Instagram. They probably will not be on TikTok. My audience is more than likely going to be on Facebook and or LinkedIn. And that just comes with, number one, when I first started my business, it was an assumption, right? So I assumed that this was my audience based off of different tactics like doing surveys and just talking to people and, you know, being in the specific industry that I'm in. And so over time, I was able to validate or confirm my assumption. And I did that not only just by continuing to talk to people, but I looked at my sales and I looked at the demographics of my customers. And I was able to say, okay, well, I assumed that my target audience would be 30 to about 45, but it's actually a step further up the ladder. I assumed that my main demographic, ethnic demographic, would be African American, but it's actually Caucasian. And this is all because I pay attention to who purchases my products and services. All right, so let's bring it back to AI. So how can AI help you? Like, where does AI fit in all of that? Well, if I understand that my target customer, my target audience is made up of Caucasian women, age 45 to 65, and they are on Facebook, I can put that in there in an AI program like Bard or ChatGPT. And I'm sorry, I wish I could share my screen because I was going to give you guys a demonstration. But I can put those demographics in there, and then I can say, write a caption, a social media caption for a picture that I'm going to post on Instagram that depicts blah, 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 blah. And it targets an audience with XYZ demographics. And I would like them to engage in such and such kind of way. Now, just a sidebar, prompt engineering is literally a thing, right? And when I say prompt engineering, I mean structuring your requests or your prompts. That is a thing. And I tell all of my clients that if you can become really good at prompt engineering, it helps you become a better speaker, right? A better communicator. Why? Because you're going to be able to really be concise and more straightforward and clear about what you're asking of someone. Even if, I mean, whether you're in a professional setting or a social setting, if I don't have to dig through your words and figure out what you're trying to communicate with me, that's better, right? That's the best thing ever. And so you have to be in the same mindset when it comes to artificial intelligence programs like Bard and ChatGPT. Be very specific, give it context so that it's able to give you back as close as possible to what you're looking for, the answer you're looking for. All right, so let's move on to the next thing, because like I said, I'll be here all day talking about AI. All right, so AI is the next best thing since sliced bread, right? It's the equivalent to a fudge brownie. I don't know. I'm hungry. That's why I'm making all of these analogies. But as I'm sure that you've heard in the news, a lot of people are afraid of AI. A lot of people say that AI, if left unchecked, can pose immense problems. And I'm definitely not going to be the person that praises and praises and praises and doesn't give you any of the cons. So let's go over what problems artificial intelligence can actually pose to you as an entrepreneur. All right. So, and I have a little list because, again, I'll get off topic. Here's the first 4 issues that AI can pose just in business in general. Quality control, bias and discrimination, dependence on technology, and data privacy and security. Now, real quick, let's unpack some of these things. Quality control. So if you're not paying attention and you're just asking it questions and copying and pasting, and this kind of goes with one of the points on the next in the next section, your reputation is not going to be good for very long. Why? Because after a while of no human oversight or too little human oversight and too little quality control, you're going to end up putting information out there that is not true and it's not checked. Let's go back to when we were in college or high school. When you used to write those essays and the teacher, the professor would require that you have a works cited page, that is so that you can validate and give some type of weight to the opinion that you're putting out there. And so when we're up here using AI to write blogs, when we're using AI to write captions and it has some sort of factual basis, we need to make sure that we're putting out the right information, correct information. Again, this can be very detrimental to your reputation as a person, as an individual, as well as to your business. And so we want to make sure that we're putting out very high quality information. And so make sure that there's some type of human oversight, some type of quality control, workflow system or program that you run all of your AI generations through. Another thing is bias and discrimination. AI can be biased, especially if you don't give it context. And so this runs with quality control and human oversight. We really need to pay attention to the information that we're putting out there, regardless if it's AI generated or human generated. A dependence on technology. Now, short story time. When I first got into using ChatGPT, I wrote 3 ebooks in one night. And I had never written ebooks before like that. I'd always done worksheets and workbooks and things like that, right? I wrote 3 ebooks, and these are not just like 6-10 page books. These were like 30, 40, 50, 60 page ebooks, right? And I was very, very proud of myself. But then I learned, or then I started to notice, I would go to write emails, I would go to write essays, I would go to write, whatever. And I would be itching to pull up ChatGPT just to see what it said. And so I want you to understand also that you can create a dependence. You can develop a dependence on this technology. Try not to. I can't say do not, but try not to. Try to use this again. Think of it as a brainstorming tool. Think of it as a technological springboard. When you don't have access or ready access to someone like me, a business advisor and or consultant or coach, then you can use this technology to just kind of sift through ideas and sift through, like I said, ideas, and see what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. And then take those ideas and bounce them off of a human. Okay, so that is one thing that can pose a problem: dependence on technology. Excuse me, and also this hinders your ability in the long run to critically think and solve problems on your own, because you're always then looking to ChatGPT or Bard. Case in point, remember when you were first given a calculator, and then throughout the next 12 years of school, you depended on a calculator. And that's what I see in today's generation. I could ask, what is 144 divided by 12? And they immediately grab a calculator. Not all of them, but you get my drift. So do try to look out for a dependence on technology. Data privacy and security. The one thing that I will say here is, don't put your personal information in these programs, like your social security number, your address, just different forms of information that you wouldn't give a stranger standing in front of Walmart. So be very, very vigilant about the type of information that you put in these programs. All right. Let me see. Any questions? Okay, Kimberly, as an artist, have you found that AI has taken over the other creative aspect by stealing artist styles? This always comes up, always. I will say this. As a mixed media artist, I went from learning how to draw to learning how to paint. I'm also interdisciplinary, and I sing, I dance, all that jazz. When it came to me learning graphic design and digital art, that is really when programs like Midjourney and what's the other one? Midjourney and Dolly 2 were really, really popular. Well, they were becoming popular. And so what I found was that there was this huge divide in the creative community, where more traditional, maybe even older artists demonized AI art. Younger artists or fairly new artists, kind of like me, were willing to experiment with it and see, how we could use it, if we were interested. And so when it comes to stealing other artists' styles, that is something personally as an artist that I make sure that I absolutely 100% stay away from. Why? Because it's not that I don't appreciate other artists' styles, but it's because it gets into that whole stealing idea, right? And so I make sure that whenever at least I create art, I don't use any artist name at all. I don't even say in a comic book style. I literally, of course, because why wouldn't I, dabble in poetry? I frequently use lines of poetry, lines of lyrics that I've written to songs and things like that. And then I'm a thesaurus freak, right? For some reason, I've been a thesaurus freak for years. And so then I go and look at adjectives, and I build a prompt for my artwork based off of what is in my head. I never, ever use an existing artist's name. And so I think it's very muddy. When you get into selling your artwork and commercializing it, and you're making money off of someone else's style, I think that there is concern there. And I think that that other person who made it possible for you, or either kind of laid a foundation, I hope this makes sense. You can let me know if this answers your question too. But I think the person who ultimately laid the foundation or gave you some sort of helping hand in the development of your artwork, I think that they should be compensated in some sort of way. And so what I mean by that is, if I go into Midjourney and I say, create a picture of a young girl with blonde hair, green eyes, purple skin, and do it in the style of Van Gogh. I mean, I know Van Gogh's not here, but that's not entirely my work, I guess you could say. And I hesitate very much saying that, because there's so many just unknowns with AI. and what belongs to who, and copyright, and putting things online and all of that stuff. And then it also kind of dives into the developers of the AI program and things like that. So the way I see it is, if you can create something out of nothing, that is kind of the safest space to be in. And again, what I mean by that is just going to a program with a blank slate, creating a prompt that's based off of colors and shapes and feelings, emotions, scents, things like that, and then building off of that prompt. And so I think that that's the safest thing to do. And I think that this debate will be forever ongoing in the creative community. So you can let me know in the chat what you think. But I think that it gets very, very sticky and very muddy when it comes to, it's one thing to just play around. Sure, Kimberly, no problem. I think it becomes very muddy when it comes to commercialization. So that's my take on it. I hope that answered your question. All right, so 4 other problems, and I kind of already touched on some of this stuff: loss of a personal touch, adaptability, reputational risks, and brand alignment. And so another thing that a lot of people depend on when it comes to, and this is in business or the creative space, again, depending on AI, just to write the prompt and you copy and paste it, there's a loss of personal touch. And let's actually kind of bring in artwork as well. When you just go into a program and you're like, create a picture based off of Van Gogh's Starry Night, but with a comic book theme and whatever, I feel like if you don't include something that is in your mind, some sort of sense or something like that, and I'm even hesitant to say that, because I mean, who decides what is art, right? Art really is whatever you make it. And so I feel like you have to be very, very careful when it comes to artwork and, utilizing people's, other artists' work. But when it comes to copy, you have to make sure that there is some sort of personal touch. Why? Because if there's not, then you're not going to connect with the intended audience. And so everybody that knows me knows that I'm silly, I'm goofy, I'm very sarcastic, and, I'm happy and things like that. That should come across in a lot of my copy, whether it's on social media, whether it's on the website, what have you. And if there's not, if I just put things into ChatGPT or Bard or Jasper.ai without some sort of context as to how I want this to sound, then it's going to have a loss of personal touch. Adaptability. Let's remind ourselves, let's make sure that we understand if we are using AI, again, context. I can't say that word enough, and I'll probably say it a million times more before we're done. There has to be some sort of context so that the program can adapt to you as an entrepreneur or an artist, and so that it can really start to create things and generate things that are aligned with what you're trying to do. Again, whether you're an artist, you're a business owner, you're an art entrepreneur, whatever you are, make sure that you're able to adapt the program to what you're doing. And that comes with brand alignment. Make sure that it aligns with your brand. I generally tell my clients, branding is, it should, number one, speak for you when you're not there to speak for your business. Number two, when I think of branding, when I think of your business, I should think of adjectives. How does your branding make me feel? What is the first couple of things that come to my mind when I think of your branding? Do this exercise real quick in the next 10 seconds. Think of McDonald's. Think of the arches, the M, right? What immediately comes to your mind? Go ahead and put it in the chat. When you think of the McDonald's sign, the McDonald's arches, what immediately comes to mind? For some reason, for me, I don't know, it's French fries, because the McDonald's French fries is the thing that I like. But I also, Kimberly, you and I think of French fries. But when I think of French fries, I also think of, and this is going to sound like contradictory, but like the scraggliness of the fry. It's not like Wendy's fries, which are very, like, I don't want to say rigid, but they're just not like limp fries, right? I'm sorry, McDonald's. I mean, the French fries are really, really good. but like that's, limp is an adjective. Salty is an adjective. Structured, rigid is an adjective when you're thinking of um, Wendy's fries. So these are adjectives. Let's see. Unfortunately, when I go to McDonald's, I, for some reason, always have something to do. And so I let my food sit in the bag for too long. And so the adjective that I associate with McDonald's fries also is lukewarm. Not saying that they give me lukewarm fries, but because of the time that I get to my fries, they're lukewarm. And so those are adjectives that I associate French fries from McDonald's with. So yeah, what does your branding say whenever somebody thinks of your brand, thinks of your company name? That's what we mean when we talk about brand alignment. And that's what you have to think of when you're using artificial intelligence, really of any kind. All right. So the next thing, let's think of some productivity programs that you may have heard of and or use. And if you haven't heard of these, well, now you have. Grammarly, AI-powered writing assistant. Google Workspace. Google Workspace has a whole bunch of different AI tools within the entire workspace. I can dictate in the Google Doc. I can, what else can I do with AI? I think I can look up things, and I usually do it in Word, in Microsoft Word, but I can look up the definition of things. And I talk about Google Docs all the time because that's what I use with my clients all the time. But the next time you're on Google Doc or the next time you're using Microsoft, look at all the little fancy like tools that you can use. Hootsuite Insights. This is a social media monitoring tool. What do I use? This is what happens when I don't. Social Pilot. There we go. When I don't oversee a lot of stuff anymore on my own. Social Pilot, social media monitoring tool. Calendly, it's an AI scheduling tool. It automates the scheduling process for you by syncing your calendars with suggested meeting times. So these are productivity programs that utilize AI, and there's many other different programs, but those are just examples. So what is right for you? I'm going to ask, 8 questions, and I can send these to you if you would like. So in order to figure out what AI program may be right for me, I want you to ask yourself these things. What are my goals? So I want you to clearly outline what you're looking for. What are you trying to get from this AI program? What is your technical expertise? Now, if you are not a super techie nerd like I am, then you may want to get a program that has a very small learning curve, meaning that you could mess around with it in a day or two and you could feel fairly comfortable using it after that time frame. What is your budget? Please do not go out and say, oh my gosh, I absolutely love Jasper.ai and I'm going to buy it for $99 a month. And you've only used it once. Make sure that the program that you're going to use, number one, you understand the upfront costs. You understand if there's any subscription fees. You understand what the ongoing maintenance costs are. And is it going to make sense for you to have this long term? Does it make financial sense for you to have it long term? Is it going to actually financially benefit your company? Meaning, will this program and or tool help you make money and not just be an expense that you sit around and play with once in a while? And so understand what your budget is. How are you going to integrate the AI into your business? One thing that I did was, as I onboarded members of my team, I trained them on different ways to use AI that aligned with their positions. And so think about whether you can utilize this AI program in more than one way. Not only you as the owner or the nucleus of the business, but can you train your team to use this program in order to cut expenses overall in your business, right? So let's just say it takes, let's just say I have a blog writer on staff and it takes that blog writer 10 hours to write a blog. I don't know why it would, but just go with the example. Let's just say it took that person 10 hours to write a blog. And then I introduced them to ChatGPT and I explained to them and I taught them how to create an outline, how to then use that outline to create the body paragraphs, the introduction and the conclusion. And then from there, proofread it, fact check it, create a works cited or resources or sources page, whatever you want to call it. And I cut that person's working time down from 10 hours to an hour. I'm not saying that that's how long it would realistically take, but again, go with the example. And so essentially what you just did was you cut costs for your business, which in turn will give you more money to operate your business and scale it, right? So that is what we're looking for when it comes to trying to figure out what AI programs work best for our business. The next 4 questions: are you looking to scale? And if you are, how does that look with AI? If you become heavily dependent on AI as a small business, less than 10 employees or freelancers or team members, how would it look, and would it make sense for your business to use AI if you have 100 employees or team members or freelancers? Or would it make sense for you to scale with that specific AI program? You may scale with AI, but you may need something that's more customized for what you're doing and at the scale that you need it at. What is the reputation and the quality of support for the AI? I mean, just do the same thing you do on Walmart.com or Amazon.com. Before you buy things, you look at the reviews, or you should look at the reviews. And so that is the same thing that you want to do with an AI program. Is there a free trial? This goes back to the finances, right? And so before you commit to any program that is paid, make sure that you inquire about a free trial, even if it doesn't say blatantly on the website or the app that there is a free trial. Connect with the developer, connect with someone, customer service, and ask if there's a free trial that you can take advantage of. And then the last question is, and I kind of touched on this earlier, what is the long time value or return on investment of the program? You may pay $1,000 for an AI program upfront day one, but over the next year, over the next 12 months, that $1,000, that AI program may allow you to increase your revenue by $10,000. That is a good return on investment. On the flip side, if you spend $1,000 on an AI program and you only increase your revenue or your profit margin by $100, that's not good at all. Either there's no need for the AI program, or you have implemented it incorrectly. And so keep those things in mind. All right, so the one thing that I think is very important that I did not touch on, and I'll do that right now. Kimberly, I can send you the notes. I can send you the deck. Technically, I was supposed to be sharing my screen, but this is the first time I'm using YouTube Live. So I'll send you the deck. If you just, actually, you signed up on Eventbrite, so I can email it to you. But for the sake of sanity, the second question was, what is your technical expertise? That was the second question in the first group of questions. The second question in this group of questions was, what is the reputation and quality of support? So think about Amazon, right? You're not going to buy, and I keep putting my hand on my desk. You're not going to buy a product or whatever without looking at the reviews. So make sure that you do a little bit of research before you just commit to an AI program. Another question might be, how can I use AI to make money? Everybody wants to make money, right? And so here's the answer. And I know everybody has an opinion, just like everybody has one of the other things that I'm not going to say on this live stream. But in my opinion, it takes a lot more than just you sitting down and using AI to make money. You have to understand what you're trying to do as a business in general. Let's take something super, super simple. I want to become a blog writer, and I want to use AI to write blogs. How can I use AI to make money? Well, all right, you have to be you're going to be a blog writer. That's what you're interested in. Understand what it takes to write a quality blog or ebook. All right. So make sure that you're knowledgeable about that. Make sure that you build a portfolio, which is practice. Ask your friends and family if they need a blog written, or if they'd like a blog written. Ask if you know any entrepreneurs, or ask local entrepreneurs, or even put it out there. Hey, I'm learning how to be a blog writer. I am willing to do, a free piece in exchange for feedback or criticism of my piece. And the way that AI fits in there is AI is going to save you time. that is how AI is going to make you money. Time is money, right? And so if it takes you, again, let's go back to this ridiculous example. If it would take you when you first started day one, 10 hours to do a blog, but then you figured out how to utilize AI and roll that into your workflow, then it may cut that down to an hour. And so let's say day one, you're only able to take one client. Well, by 60 days in, you've learned how to use AI in your workflow, and you're able, instead of taking one client in a day, you're able to take 10 clients in a day. And let's say you charge $100 an hour. You just went from $100 to $1,000 by utilizing and understanding how to correctly implement AI into your idea. And so that is how, and that's an example of how you can use or leverage AI to make money. Again, oversimplified example, but it's an example. So I'm going to end on that. Actually, I think there was another one, accessing capital, but I'll do a whole different workshop on that. And so if there was anything that I missed, anything that you guys are interested in learning more about, or if you have any suggestions or ideas of things that you would like me to talk about, let me know, and I'll go ahead and create a mini like overview, 10-minute or 5-minute overview of that topic. I'm also, just to let you know, I'm in the process of developing a more comprehensive workshop where when you go to the workshop, you get a business plan, you get a business model, you get a strategic action plan as to how to make your business go from the ideation phase, prove or validate that your idea makes sense, and then create a business plan, a short, I call it a 1-pager, but it's really a 4 or 5 pager. Create a lendable business plan. What does that mean? That I'm going to work with you on creating a business plan that you can go in front of a lender and sit down and explain your business, your goals, your market, explain the market fit of your product or your idea or your service, and then talk about what the financial picture looks like. How much money do you need? How much money will it take to operate your business? I've done this with several entrepreneurs. And again, I've created just this workflow, this strategy that I use across the board. And I'd like to go ahead and put that out there for people outside of Hampton Roads, Virginia. So if you are interested in that, let me know. I believe in Eduarda, I think is in the chat. I believe that there is a link in my IG bio. I can also, old school, put my email in the chat so that everybody can contact me and let me know. Again, if you have any ideas, if you're interested in attending the workshop, I'll put you on the email list so that you can get updates as to how that's going to go about. But I think that that's going to be very, very valuable to a lot of entrepreneurs in any type of industry. All right, cool. Just so everyone knows, Eduarda is my assistant, and she's the most amazing assistant in the world. So if I didn't have her, my business would definitely not be as well-oiled as it is. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. Thank you. And so I'll give you guys a little sneak peek at what the workshop is going to include. And so we're going to go over, number one, technological tools that can help you improve your overall workflow in systems in your business. There are just some things, again, you don't know what you don't know. And there's some things that will help you cut time out of your schedule and get you as the business owner back to focusing on what you are best at, really, Lord Jesus, which is running the business, right? And so we're going to talk about different tools, technological tools that you can utilize in your business. The second thing that we're going to talk about is we're going to do like a personal assessment, right? So a lot of people, they have this grand idea. I use this example all the time. I want to start a metal tires business. Now, y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all are laughing at me right now, but there's people with ideas like that. Is that a viable idea? Maybe not, but who knows? We're not going to know until we do market research, right? And so I'm going to teach you about how to determine whether your idea is viable or not, whether it makes sense. I'm going to teach you about how to do market research. We're going to then go over a strategic plan. Then we're going to go over your business plan. And then last but not least, the most fun activity ever, which I'm being very sarcastic, is developing very basic financial statements, right? And so if you use QuickBooks, you're already ahead of the game. If you don't use QuickBooks, no problem. I'm going to teach you how to do it using Google Sheets, okay? And so we'll go over income, expenses. We'll do a 5-year projection, financial projection for you. We'll go ahead and do a cash flow statement, a P&L, which is a profit and loss. We're going to do a whole bunch of different things so that at the end of this workshop, you're going to come out as a more knowledgeable entrepreneur. That's number one. But you'll also be poised to sit in front of lenders and or investors and be able to pitch your business idea and really understand if there's a market for it. And you'll be able to explain how your business fits within that market. Okay. And so there's a ton of things. Like I said, I'm still in the developmental phases. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and connect with me. Eduarda says that there's a link in my Instagram bio, so believe her. If you have any questions, you can also always DM me on Instagram or comment on any of my YouTube videos and I get the message. So I will leave it open for a few minutes. If there's any other questions in the chat, you can ask. And other than that, thank you all for coming. One thing that I forgot, I would love to know what type of businesses you guys have. And then I do this again when I'm teaching any workshop. I love to get to know, and I should have did this at the beginning, but I love to get to know the people that I'm teaching, that I'm working with, that I'm talking to. So Kimberly, you are a freelance illustrator. That's amazing. I actually talked to one of my really good friends today. She had a question about becoming a graphic designer. And so we went over the different types of graphic design because she didn't know that there was different types. And she is an oil and acrylic. She's really a mixed media artist, canvas and muralist, canvas artist and muralist. And so she's pregnant. And we're trying to develop ways for her to make an income while she's at home with the baby. And she's due in the fall. So we're working to get her educated on graphic design and understanding the different ways that she can go about making money with that knowledge. So Illustrator was one of the suggestions that I had for her. So that's awesome. Again, Eduarda, who is T4U Virtual Services. She's an amazing, amazing virtual assistant. Okay. I'm at home with my 1-year. Look, I am so glad. I have an 8-year-old and I have a 16-year-old who's she's about to be 9 next month. She's been reminding us ever since her last birthday. And my 16-year-old will be 17 this fall. And I am so sorry, but I do not miss when they were toddlers, not at all. So that's another thing. I think the more that I speak with the people that I talk to, the more that I'm able to relate and they're able to relate with me. Trust me, I am used to being in a workshop like this or being with a client and children just coming into my shop, no matter what I'm doing. It's like kids just have no idea of personal boundaries, or they just don't care. So I think it's the latter. But all right, so I guess there's no other questions. Kimberly, I definitely look forward to connecting with you. Everyone else on the call, I look forward to connecting with you as well. Again, if you're interested in the comprehensive workshop, let me know, and I'll keep you updated on all that stuff. Again, thank you so much for joining me on my first YouTube Live. I thought it was going to be a dumpster fire, but it wasn't as much of a dumpster fire as it was in my head. So hopefully you guys will join me again for another workshop. Oh, before I leave, I'm having another workshop, but it's specifically tailored to creatives tomorrow. If you're interested in that, message me and I will give you the link for that. You can sign up on Eventbrite. I'm working with a local art nonprofit here in Hampton Roads. And so we're trying to really reach as many artists and as many creatives as we possibly can. So I think, Kimberly, that would be an amazing opportunity for you. And if you are interested, hit me up. I can give you a promo code so that you can get in the workshop for free. It's going to be the same time tomorrow. And I'll try to make sure that it's recorded so that if you're not available, I can send it to you. But 49 minutes and 30 seconds, I think I did fairly well. Thank you so much again for everybody coming, and I will see you guys in the next live or workshop. Bye.